I think the Torah portion of Bamidbar is one of the best Torah portions to teach us a lesson in politics or in Jewish governance or the lack thereof, perhaps, historically. We can ask ourselves why it is that historically is the young state of Israel has had many elections. And the truth is, if you look back to biblical times, as it turns out, we don't have the best history when it comes to choosing our leaders. What do I mean? I'm not talking about Moses and Aaron. God chose them. So in this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, we count the Israelites, and we are told the names of the heads of each of the tribes. Now, I don't know about you, but it's a bit weird. I would have thought, what do I need to know that the head of Reuven is Elitzur ben Shadiur, or that the head of Shimon is this and that? Meaning, it would have been enough to say, God needs to count us, there are 600,000, end of story. Why this? And the portion emphasizes the names, counting by the names, knowing the names. What is the name? What does the name today help me? What information can it give me? How can it teach me something about leading a better life? And interestingly, you notice something really, really fascinating. So who were these heads of tribes? As it happens, the heads of tribes, according to the Sifri, according to Midrash, were the policemen, the Gestapo, appointed by Pharaoh's regime to make sure that the Israelites did their work. So you're talking here about, the heads of the tribes are those that, many Jews would potentially look at and say, well, how does that work? And you have to ask yourself, how were they chosen? Why were they chosen? I don't understand this. You're telling me someone from the Gestapo, they had to do it, no doubt. But they of all people then are chosen? Does it maybe have something to do with people that had power? But here's the good news. Look at their names. Why do we have their names? All of the names, or many of the names of the heads of the tribes, are names that indicate that the Israelites were a people of believers. You see God present in the names. God heard, God is my strength. That the names here are a continuation of the names of the 12 tribes, of the 12 children. Meaning you see this great gap, tell me if this sounds familiar, between a wonderful people, a people with vitality and strength, and, a leadership that one might question what's going on any side. Now it gets better, because by the time we go just 2 years later, when we get to the sin of the spies, these guys are no longer around. What happened to them? We have new guys. Only 2 years. How didn't they stick to power? Another midrash tells us it's because they, these were really, people accountable for their actions. They stood up with Korach, and they were in that foilish shtick, and so they were killed. So we needed new ones. And if you look at the names in the Torah portion of Shlach Lecha, the names there are clearly not the real names. They are names, as we have a tradition from the sages, that indicate the bad actions of these people chosen. But what this means is that yet again the wrong leaders were chosen. When are we going to learn? And if you then go to the time that the Israelites come into Israel, under the time of Joshua ben Nun, again we have these powerful names, faithful names, with God present. So the people are always believing, the people are always there, but when are we going to learn a lesson? When are we going to look at Bamidbar and realize we need to ask ourselves, what do we need in our leaders? What is our part in understanding, not about whether it's left or right, but what sort of leaders we expect to have, and our role in getting up what perhaps we didn't do back then, and getting up and saying, no, we expect something else of our leaders. So thoughts on one of the most political Torah portions, Bamidbar, at least my take of it. Shabbat Shalom.